Do you want to know how to discipline a child with low self-esteem? You're not alone. I'm Nicholeen Peck, and I teach all over the world about parenting, good communication, how to build strong family bonds, child development, and education, all through the lens of the principle self-government. And in this video, we're talking about correcting children when you worry about their self-esteem. In this video, we're going to talk a little bit about self-esteem and help you have a little bit of an understanding of what might be going on with your child and what you need to focus on when it comes to self-esteem. And then we're going to talk about what you can do to create a really great correction or corrective teaching moment as part of your parent discipline to be gentle, nurturing, but also firm and do the teaching that needs to happen. This is a proven technique. It has been used with youth who are neurodiverse, with children who have anxiety issues, who have heightened emotional issues, trauma in their past. This is something that you should be able to use for the long term. So let's talk about self-esteem. I think it sounds like a good thing that we would want a person to have high self-esteem, good self-esteem, but we do have a problem nowadays with a lot of young people having low self-esteem. So in our modern times, we think of self-esteem as something that happens to a person. We're really hyper-focused on victims and people who are victimizing other people. Oftentimes, people try to help a person's self-esteem by giving them lots of gratitude and praise and gifts and telling them how great they are and how important they are. But at the end of the day, why doesn't it usually work to add on all of those false puffing up type statements to a person? Well, it's because actually the focus should not be on self-esteem as much as it should be a focus on self-confidence and ability and skills training for the person. When a person recognizes their own abilities to solve their problems, to communicate effectively with other people, to overcome a hard circumstance, to do hard work, that person's self-confidence increases, and this makes it so that they are better equipped to handle other problems in the future and are usually generally more happy. So while I do believe in praising people, expressing gratitude, having all of those great social behaviors, it is important to recognize that when we correct our children, that is a healthy thing. When they get the opportunity to be able to solve their problem and overcome a corrective moment, that's actually something that's going to increase their confidence, which is actually going to be more in their favor in their adult future. They won't think that it's up to other people to show them their worth through statements of self-esteem. So how do you discipline a person that you feel like probably has low self-esteem and do it in a way that can hopefully build their confidence? Well, that's actually what this whole channel is about. This entire channel is about teaching a person self-government. So what is self-government? Self-government is being able to determine the cause and effect of any given situation and possessing a knowledge of your own behaviors so that you can control them. That means you understand cause and effect. That means that you understand yourself and you analyze yourself on a regular basis. And it is the recipe to emotional freedom, social empowerment. It is the recipe to problem solving and just success in life. Increased happiness overall comes when a person knows the skills for how to solve their own problems. There is nothing that makes a person feel worthless more than not knowing how to solve a problem. So as parents, we should be giving our children the opportunity to solve their problems again and again, which means that we should correct them. And of course, corrections are an important part of healthy discipline. So if you've subscribed to this channel already, then you know that on here I talk about skills and principles of self-government self-government, such as following instructions, accepting no answers and criticism, accepting consequences, disagreeing appropriately. Those I call the 4 basic skills of self-government, and they are adult skills. But not only can youths and adults master these skills, but children can start learning the skills of self-regulation, calmness, and these 4 basic skills when they are babies and toddlers. I have grandchildren who learn how to get calm and take deep breaths starting when they are tiny babies. I have been watching my daughter lovingly work with her baby that is 2 months old at this point. Every time the baby is screaming and crying, the mother, consoles the baby, comforts the baby, and says, "Take a deep breath. Get calm. Let's take a deep breath." Does that baby know what a deep breath is yet? No, probably not at 2 months. But will the baby know what a deep breath is by 4 months or 6 months? Yes, they probably will, especially because she's blowing on their little hand. Deep breath. She's blowing with them, she's breathing with them so that they can learn how to breathe by repeating what it is that she's doing. When she's being calm, they may want to simulate that calmness in time. This has happened with other grandchildren. It's so powerful to see how my children are taking these principles of calmness and using it now with my grandchildren at even younger ages than I used it with them. I started teaching my children about calmness and the skills and principles of self-government when they were about 2 years old, maybe a little before that, but my children have exceeded expectations because they were raised with these principles of calmness their entire lives. We can talk a lot more about how to use self-government with toddlers and babies and self-regulation and calmness in other videos, and there's a lot more on my website on those things. So here, let's just talk about discipline. So how do you discipline someone despite what their age might be when they are needing to get to a place of calmness or following one of our 4 basic skills of self-government because they're struggling to do that, and do it in a calm and effective self-governed way? So let's talk about how to do an effective correction. There are ways to do corrections that are not effective. If you nag, if you complain, if you get angry, if you get emotional as a parent, this is not effective communication for your children. You would be encouraging them to power struggle with you if you start power struggling with them. So what do you do to keep things feeling safe, comfortable, and help empower them toward more self-government? Well, first you pre-teach them all of those 4 basic skills. You pre-teach them the steps that we use for a correction or what you would use for an intensive teaching if they go completely out of instructional control. You may not know what all those things are, but don't worry. At the end of this video, I'll let you know where to find out more. So just right now, let's talk about some of the basic steps of doing an effective correction, because then what you do are these same steps every single time. No matter what you're correcting, you start with these steps, which are step number 1, you describe the situation, and you do this in a non-emotional way. You have to stay calm yourself. In fact, you should, before you even start a correction, check yourself to see how calm you are. There is actually a process for being calm. It's a whole skill set that I teach in my book, The Power of Calm. So be sure to check that book out. So you describe the situation. So you might say to them, just now I gave you a no answer about eating more candy. And you looked at me, but you did not keep a calm face, voice, and body. You didn't say okay or ask to disagree appropriately. Instead, you started to whine about it. And that also means that you are not dropping the subject. You did not use the steps of the skill accepting a no answer. What you should have done was you should have looked at me, kept a calm face, voice, and body, said okay, or asked to disagree appropriately about it. If you feel like you should still be able to eat some more candy, then we would have a discussion. Then I would give you my answer and you can say okay to that and drop the subject. When you choose to use your skills like disagreeing appropriately, you feel more powerful and in control, and you see that you actually do have more control over your situations than you thought you did. When you choose not to use your skills of self self-government, then it can make you feel like that you don't have any way to be understood in your communications, and that wouldn't be very good. Since you chose not to accept a no answer, you have earned an extra chore. So I always use an extra chore because actually work is the antidote for a sick character. So by this point, we are to step 4. We have done a description of what has happened. We have done a description of what they should have done. We have told them why they should do it the right way and how it's going to benefit them. And now we are telling them what negative consequence they have earned. And the negative consequences should stay the same every time. There are a lot of reasons why I use an extra chore. If a person does not get the opportunity to accept a consequence, meaning that they know what it is ahead of time, they choose to accept it, they actually execute it or do it, then they actually won't learn self-government. So then after that, we're going to take some time to do some role play practices of things the right way. They'll go and do that extra chore, whatever it happens to be. They'll come and check back. After the role plays, I praise them. I do a 3-step effective praise. And then after they come back from doing their negative consequence, I'm going to praise them again. Your children should get praised 5 times during a corrective teaching if you're doing it well. You should feel closer to your child during and after a correction than you even did before. It should be a bonding moment, a unifying moment. And there should be a tone behind the moment of calmness, but also a tone from the parent that is like, listen, I accept you no matter what happened. And you know what? It doesn't matter what happened. We can get through this. This is just a teaching moment. I'm not taking it personally. There should be that type of tone in all of your teaching. Let's work a little bit more on the tone and the skills of self-government in my next video, How to Discipline Children.